When Dutch Navy radar operators detected a Russian submarine lurking near critical North Sea infrastructure in January 2025, they knew something wasn't right. The improved Kilo-class submarine, notorious for being quieter than a sleeping whale, was performing maneuvers that had never been seen before. Within hours, what began as routine surveillance transformed into one of the most dramatic naval encounters in recent European history. What the Dutch Navy discovered that day would change everything we know about Russia's underwater capabilities. But how did this tense encounter in the North Sea end, and why are NATO commanders now losing sleep over it? On January 10, 2025, the Dutch freight HNLMS Friesland and its embarked NH-90 maritime attack helicopter were tasked with shadowing a Russian submarine and frigate as they transited through the Dutch exclusive economic zone in the North Sea. The submarine in question was the Novorossiysk, an improved Kilo-class vessel known for its advanced stealth capabilities and the ability to conduct covert operations in close proximity to European waters. The improved Kilo class, also known as Project 636.3, is a modernized version of the original Kilo class submarine, designed to be quieter and more effective in combat. The submarines are equipped with advanced sonar systems, torpedoes, and cruise missiles, making them a formidable threat to surface ships and underwater targets alike. With their ability to operate at depths of up to 300 m and remain submerged for extended periods, improved Kilo-class submarines are ideally suited for intelligence gathering and special operations. Accompanying the Novus was the Boreas Stag Gushy-class frigate, designed to perform a wide range of missions, including anti-submarine warfare, anti-aircraft defense, and surface combat. Armed with advanced radar and sonar systems, as well as a potent array of missiles and guns, the Boreas served as a powerful escort for the submarine, ensuring its protection as they navigated through the North Sea. The incident began to unfold when the Dutch Navy's Maritime Operations Center received intelligence reports indicating the presence of a Russian submarine and frigate in the North Sea heading towards the Dutch. Easy Theok immediately dispatched the HNLMS Friesland, one of the most advanced frigates in the Dutch fleet, to intercept and monitor the Russian vessels. As the Friesland approached the designated area, its sensors detected the presence of the Russian ships. The submarine, identified as a Novus, was operating at a depth of approximately m, while the Boreas was sailing on the surface, providing cover for the submarine. The Dutch front maintained a safe distance from the Russian vessels, but close enough to monitor their activities. The ship's advanced sonar systems were able to track the sub's movements, while its radar and electronic surveillance equipment kept a close eye on the Boreas as the Russian ships continued their transit through the Dutch. The Fan's crew noticed unusual behavior from the Boreas. The frigate appeared to be conducting a series of complex maneuvers, including sudden course changes and speed variations, which seemed designed to mask the submarine's presence and movements. Suspecting that the Russian vessels were engaged in intelligence gathering or other covert activities, the Dutch captain ordered the deployment of the ship's NH-90 helicopter. The helicopter, equipped with advanced sensors and surveillance equipment, was able to provide a closer look of the Russian ships and their activities. As the NH-90 approached the Boreas, the Russian front began to engage in even more erratic maneuvers, apparently attempting to disrupt the helicopter's surveillance efforts. The Dutch pilots, however, were highly skilled and experienced, and they were able to maintain their position and continue monitoring the Russian vessels. Over the course of several hours, the Friesland and its helicopter shadowed the Novorossiysk and the Boreas as they transited through the Dutch Easy. During this time, the Dutch crew observed the Russian ships engaging in a variety of suspicious activities. Despite the best efforts of the Russian vessels to evade detection and disrupt the Dutch surveillance, the Frand was able to maintain contact and gather valuable intelligence on their activities. The Dutch crew documented the Russian ships' movements and activities, including their interactions with other vessels in the area and their use of communication systems. As the Russian ships approached the limits of the Dutch, the Fan's captain made the decision to escort them out of the area. The Dutch frigate positioned itself between the Russian vessels and the nearest undersea communication cables and energy pipelines, ensuring that they would not have the opportunity to conduct any hostile activities. Once the Novorossiysk and the Boreas had exited the Dutch, Friesland broke off its escort and returned to its regular patrol duties. The information gathered during the surveillance operation was immediately shared with Dutch intelligence agencies. and NATO allies providing valuable insights into Russian naval activities and intentions in the region. The incident involving the NeuroCS and the buoy highlighted the ongoing challenges faced by NATO and EU nations and safeguarding their maritime interests against Russian provocation and covert activities. It also underscored the importance of maintaining a strong and vigilant presence in the North Sea, one of the world's most critical maritime corridors. The incident served as a stark reminder of the high stakes involved in the struggle for maritime security in the 21st century as great power competition continues to intensify and the global maritime domain becomes increasingly contested. It is essential that NATO and EU nations remain vigilant and prepared to defend their interests against any and all challenges. The shadowing of the NeuroCS and the buoy by the Dutch Navy demonstrated the resolve and the capability of European nations to protect their maritime sovereignty and safeguard critical infrastructure. It also highlighted the need for continued investment and advanced naval capabilities such as frigate submarines and maritime patrol aircraft to ensure that NATO and the EU nations can effectively monitor and respond to Russian activities in the region. Ultimately, the incident in the North Sea served as a powerful reminder of the enduring importance of maritime security in an increasingly complex and uncertain world as global geopolitical landscapes continue to evolve and new threats emerge. It is essential that NATO and the EU nations remain at the forefront of efforts to promote stability, security, and prosperity on the high seas. What other incidents involving Russian naval activity concern you the most, and why? Let us know in the comments below. The shadowing of the Russian sub NeuroCS and the frigate buoy by the Dutch Navy is just one example of the growing concern over Russia's naval activities in European waters as Moscow continues to modernize and expand its fleet. The potential threats to critical maritime infrastructure, trade routes, and security interests have become increasingly apparent. Russia's naval modernization program, which includes the development of advanced submarines like the improved Kilo class, is part of a broader strategy to assert its power and influence in the maritime domain by investing in quieter, more capable subs and multi-role surface vessels. Russia aims to enhance its ability to conduct covert operations, gather intelligence, and project power in contested waters. The presence of Russian spy ships near undersea cables, pipelines, and wind farms is particularly alarming, as these assets form the backbone of Europe's energy and communications infrastructure. Any disruption or sabotage to these systems could have devastating consequences for the economies and security of NATO and EU member states. The Nord Stream pipeline sabotage in September 2022, which remains unsolved, serves as a reminder of the vulnerability of these critical assets. The threat posed by Russian naval activities extends beyond the physical infrastructure itself. The intelligence gathered by spy ships and submarines can be used to identify weaknesses in Europe's maritime security, such as gaps in surveillance coverage or response capabilities. This information could be exploited in the event of a conflict, allowing Russia to disrupt or deny access to key maritime areas. Moreover, the presence of Russian naval assets in close proximity to European waters serves as a form of psychological warfare designed to intimidate and coerce NATO and EU member states. By demonstrating its ability to operate with impunity in the region, Russia seeks to undermine the confidence of European nations in their own security and to sow doubt about the effectiveness of collective defense arrangements in response to the growing threat posed by Russian naval activities. NATO and EU allies have taken steps to strengthen their maritime defense capabilities and increase surveillance in key areas. This includes investing in advanced sensor technology, IES, such as underwater drones and autonomous vehicles, to detect and track potential threats. Allies are also working to improve information sharing and coordination among their naval forces to ensure a more effective and unified response to Russian provocations. Cooperation and burden sharing among NATO and EU allies are also crucial in addressing the complex maritime security environment. Joint exercises, information sharing, and the development of common standards and protocols can help to ensure A more coordinated and effective response to Russian activities. One area where increased cooperation is particularly important is in the realm of undersea infrastructure protection. The vast network of cables and pipelines that crisscross the seabed of the North Sea and other European waters is essential to the functioning of modern economies and societies. However, these assets are also highly vulnerable to sabotage or disruption, as evidenced by the Nord Stream incident. To address this threat, NATO and EU allies have begun to develop new approaches to undersea infrastructure protection, such as the establishment of dedicated monitoring and response teams. These teams, which are composed of military and civilian experts, are responsible for maintaining a constant watch over critical undersea assets and responding quickly to any incidents or anomalies. Another key aspect of undersea infrastructure protection is the development of new technologies and capabilities. This includes the deployment of advanced sensor networks, such as fiber optic cables equipped with acoustic sensors to detect and locate potential threats. It also involves the use of unmanned underwater vehicles, or UAVs, and autonomous surface vessels, asked to conduct regular patrols and inspections of undersea infrastructure. In addition to these technical measures, NATO and EU allies are also working to strengthen the legal and regulatory frameworks governing the protection of undersea infrastructure. Ultimately, the shadowing of the Novosibirsk and the buoy by the Dutch Navy serves as a clear signal that NATO and EU allies are committed to defending their maritime security and will not tolerate Russian provocations or threats to critical infrastructure. Music. As the geopolitical landscape continues to evolve, it is essential that Europe remains vigilant and adaptable in the face of growing challenges in the maritime domain. This requires not only the development of new capabilities and technologies, but also a fundamental shift in mindset. European nations must recognize that the maritime domain is no longer a peripheral concern, but rather a central front in the ongoing struggle for global influence and power. As such, they must be prepared to invest in the necessary resources and political capital to ensure the continued security and prosperity of their maritime interests. This includes not only the allocation of funding for new ships, aircraft, and other military assets, but also the development of a comprehensive strategy for maritime security that encompasses all aspects of maritime domain, from economic and environmental concerns to geopolitical and military challenges. The incident involving the Russian sub Novosibirsk and the Frigg buoy in the North Sea cannot be viewed in isolation from the broader geopolitical context. The presence of advanced Russian submarines and surface vessels near critical maritime infrastructure can be seen as part of a broader strategy to assert Moscow's power and influence, even as it faces setbacks in other regions. The upcoming North Sea Summit, which will bring together leaders from key European nations, is expected to address not only the specific incident involving the Novosibirsk and the buoy, but also the wider security challenge posed by Russian naval activities. The summit presents an opportunity for NATO and EU allies to develop a coordinated response to these threats and to strengthen cooperation in areas such as maritime surveillance, information sharing, and crisis management. The North Sea is home to a vast network of offshore oil and gas platforms, wind farms, and interconnectors that link the energy grids of neighboring countries. As such, any disruption to the security and stability of the North Sea could have far-reaching consequences for the economies and the energy supplies of NATO and EU member states. Russia's activities in the North Sea, including the deployment of spy ships and submarines, can be seen as part of a broader effort to exploit these vulnerabilities and gain a strategic advantage over its rivals by mapping the locations of undersea cables, pipelines, and other critical infrastructure. Russia could potentially identify targets for sabotage or disruption in the event of a conflict. Moreover, the presence of Russian naval assets in the agent serves as a reminder of Moscow's ability to project power and influence beyond its immediate borders. The situation in the North Sea is further complicated by the growing importance of offshore wind energy in Europe's transition to a low-carbon future. As countries such as the United Kingdom, Germany, and the Netherlands invest heavily in the development of large-scale wind farms, the security of these installations has become a top priority. The potential for Russian spy ships to gather intelligence on the location and layout of these wind farms raises concerns about their vulnerability to sabotage or attack. To address these challenges, NATO and EU allies have taken steps to enhance their maritime surveillance and security capabilities in the North Sea. This includes the deployment of advanced sensor networks, unmanned underwater vehicles, and other technologies designed to detect and track potential threats. Allies have also increased their naval presence in the region with regular patrols and exercises aimed at demonstrating their readiness and resolve. However, the complex nature of the maritime security environment in the North Sea requires a comprehensive and coordinated approach that goes beyond traditional military measures. This includes strengthening cooperation between military and civilian authorities, as well as engaging with industry partners to develop new technologies and best practices for protecting critical infrastructure. The upcoming summit provides an opportunity for leaders to address these challenges and develop a common vision for the future security of the region. By working together to enhance maritime domain awareness, share intelligence, and coordinate responses to potential threats, NATO and EU allies can help to ensure the continued stability and prosperity of the North Sea. At the same time, the broader geopolitical context of Russia's naval activities in the North Sea cannot be ignored as tensions between Russia and the West continue to simmer. The risk of miscalculation or escalation remains ever present. The incident involving these two Russian ships serves as a reminder of the need for clear communication and crisis management mechanisms to prevent such incidents from spiraling out of control. Ultimately, the shadowing of the Russian sub and frigate by the Dutch Navy in the North Sea is just one example of the complex and evolving security challenges facing Europe in the 21st century. As great power competition intensifies and the global maritime domain becomes increasingly contested, it is essential that NATO and EU allies remain vigilant, adaptable, and united in their efforts to safeguard their interests and values. By investing in advanced capabilities, strengthening partnerships, and developing a comprehensive approach to maritime security, Europe can help to ensure that the North Sea remains a bastion of stability and prosperity for generations to come. So what would you do if you were the captain of the Dutch frigate when the Russian vessels began their erratic maneuvers? Would you maintain surveillance from a distance or move in closer to gather more intelligence despite the risks? Share your tactical decision in the comments below. Nonetheless, the shadowing of the Russian vessels by the Dutch Navy in the North Sea goes to show the maritime security challenges facing Europe in an era of great power competition. As Russia continues to modernize its fleet and expand its naval presence in strategic waterways, NATO and EU allies must remain vigilant and adaptable in the face of growing threats to critical infrastructure, trade routes, and security interests. The incident in the North Sea is just one example of the broader geopolitical context in which Russia's naval activities are taking place. Ultimately, the shadowing by the Dutch Navy sends a clear message that NATO and the EU allies are committed to defending their security and will not tolerate provocations or threats to critical infrastructure. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that it has provided some valuable insights into the recent incident in the North Sea and the broader implications of Russian naval activities for European security. If you found this content informative, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global maritime issues, and don't forget to share your thoughts on this topic in the comments section down below, because your input is always valuable in fostering a constructive dialogue on these critical matters. We'll see you in the next one.